selfish and cruel since his youthful days in school. His siblings he never did treat well. His self-centered bent was his dark side lament, with a focus on hypnotize and spell. He memorized laws to help sharpen his claws for a future for which he was bent. The time would surely come when for office he would run and claim he was just heaven sent.
Another politician has just taken center stage. He tells all the people that he loves them so. He comes on like a sage, says with him they should engage. A false prophet selling endless empty prose.
He stepped over dead bodies on his climb to the top. The highest post was his aspiration. But he forgot to read the fine print in the contract that he signed, which caused a U-turn to his final destination.
Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with our host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. I'm trying to get a hold of Douglas so we can, have him on, and we'll be talking about American conspiracies and cover-ups. And he should be on here in a second or so. And hopefully we have him now. Hey, Douglas, are you there?
Yes, this is Douglas.
Hey, Douglas, you got Gary here at Night Dreams Talk Radio. How is your day going?
Pretty good, not bad. Good to hear from you.
Well, how's the weather in your location?
It was sort of warm today. I'm on Long Island, so it's been a little cold, but today was a little warm. But the leaves are changing colors, so that looks nice.
Now, hopefully you don't get snowed in this winter.
You know, we're supposed to have snow tomorrow, so...
So you have nice weather before you get hit with the bad stuff. Wow, that's typical. Well, hey, Douglas, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? And you just came out with, a book called American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups?
Yes, that's right. It's published by Skyhorse Publishing, which is one of the biggest publishers of conspiracy theory literature. They published the books of Jesse Ventura and Jerome Kersey and Roger Stone. And it's a book of interviews. I interviewed people about conspiracy theories. And I got some of the most famous conspiracy theory authors in the world. I got Jim Mars on the New World Order, G. Edward Griffin on the Federal Reserve, Noam Chomsky on the media, David Ray Griffin on 9/11, and LBJ's lawyer. So there's about 12 of them all together. And I think, interviews read pretty fast, and they're fun to read. So I think that's what makes my book interesting.
So what do you think is going on in our country right now?
Well, in my opinion, I think Donald Trump sort of broke through the political establishment, and usually whoever gets to be president is put there by the deep state and put there by the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, by Wall Street, and Trump miraculously broke through, and I think he's doing good things for the country, as much as his personality is lacking. I think he acts like a seventh-grade bully, and but I think his politics are good. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, I voted for Trump. I am been disappointed because, he has a tendency of telling some whoppers. He gets in I think what happens is he gets in a situation and he doesn't know how to handle it. And then, I think some stuff just kind of flows because he's maybe insecure. I don't know. I really think what's going on right now, the impeachment process starting, I think we should be really thinking not Democrats or Republicans. We should be thinking of the American people right now and try to work out all this other stuff. And I think there's so much garbage coming out of Washington, D.C. in general right now. It's scary.
Yeah, as usual, yeah. But I think Trump, did you hear the economy is better than ever because I think he's not controlled by the corporate political establishment, corporate deep state. So he's fixing the free trade agreements in a way that it benefits the worker, and unemployment is best it's ever been. The Dow Jones is the best it's ever been, and the economy is very good because he's not a part of the corrupt New World Order establishment, I think. But again, I say his personality is very lacking, but I think his politics are right.
Well, I think they are in a lot of things. I'm just worried right now, the biggest bank in Germany is about ready to go bye-bye. They're very close to going bankrupt. And if that happens, I was just reading today in Forbes, or yesterday, that it will have a ripple effect worldwide with the economies, including our economy. And it could, we are so close right now. We're living in a bubble. We don't have nothing to back up what we print. The feds are dumping in money every day just to keep the economy afloat. If the major bank in Germany, their biggest bank, goes under, we're going to feel it. And it could cause the bubble to burst. That's the only thing I'm scared about.
Oh yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. I know a lot of conspiracy theorists think that eventually there's going to be a economic depression worse than the 1930s, and that's going to cause maybe everybody have to move into fenced-off concentration camps because nobody's got a job or food or money. That's what I interviewed G. Ed Griffin for my book. He thinks that's a possibility, but I hope this bank breaking in Germany doesn't lead to that. Hopefully.
Well, I hope not. I don't. But again, too, even some of our banks in our country are just barely passing the test each month. So, I mean, it's scary. But, I also noticed you have a theory on JFK. Did you want to touch that in a little bit here tonight?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the interviews. I did 12 interviews in my books about different conspiracy theories. I interviewed Barr McClellan, who was one of the lawyers for LBJ. And he claims LBJ, Lyndon Johnson, was the mastermind behind the Kennedy assassination. Some people believe that. I interviewed him, and I let him express his opinion. I think it's an interesting interview about the nature of LBJ. But I don't particularly believe that. I think it was more the military-industrial complex and CIA. I think Johnson, he had a foreknowledge. I think he knew it was happening, but I don't think he was the mastermind, although that's what this guy said, who I interviewed, who was one of Lyndon Johnson's lawyers.
Well, I know that JFK really upset the CIA. He really upset the military, and this because of him and his brother's politics. That I don't know. I think probably the CIA was involved with it, but I don't know. It's when you go back and think about it, you can take this about 3 different ways, and it's scary on each one of them.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of evidence. There's ex-CIA people who have admitted to be a part of it, like E. Howard Hunt, who was also a Watergate figure. Did you hear about that? On his deathbed, he told his son, that the Kennedy assassination was the big job, or what do you call it, the big job of the CIA. But he said Lyndon Johnson also was a part of that too. And there's other CIA people, I think, who've confessed about it.
Yeah.
I think the lesson, if you go against the military-industrial complex and what the CIA wants, then I think that you're going to have a lot of trouble, because the CIA and the military-industrial complex is the deep state that wants to run the government.
Well, I think they influence who's ever in office quite a bit.
Oh, what'd you say?
I said I think they influence the deep state influences whoever is president drastically.
Yeah, really. I think it's through the Bilderberg group. It's a secret group, and I think from there, and then everybody appointed in the White House is the Trilateral Commission people or Council on Foreign Relations people, which is 2 of the think tanks that want to have globalization and big brother government. I think that is a deep state, maybe Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, and Bilderberg Group.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people, too, don't realize that Lyndon B. Johnson hated Kennedy with a passion.
Yeah, I think, especially Bobby Kennedy, I think, yeah. They didn't get along, I know, because I think he was offended because, he was the Senate Majority Leader in the 50s, so he probably felt he was entitled to become president. And when I don't think Kennedy was very active as a senator. And when he came and beat him, I think he was offended by that. And I think he came from a rough area in Texas where, you know, if you had a political enemy down in Texas, it was a rough business down there. I think it was common for, you know, for deaths and murders to happen connected to politics in Texas. So I think he had something to do with the assassination. I don't think he planned it, but I think he had a foreknowledge of it.
Yeah, maybe he gave the blessing to, you know, it happened.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard repeatedly. But, you know, the whole thing, not releasing what happened, you know, for years, and there's still a lot of stuff we never will know, because if the government was involved with his assassination, that itself is really something scary.
Yeah. Even the, you know, if it's the CIA, and I think there's a good book on that called, I might write another book. I'll interview this guy, James Douglas. It's called, I forget, but the author is James W. Douglas, and he has so much information that connects the CIA to Kennedy's assassination, you know. And so, you know, he's got a lot of proof of it, you know. He basically writes like it's fact, you know. So, yeah, if the CIA, and I mean, I think it's obvious the CIA does stuff that they're not supposed to do. They're sort of doing things on their own outside of congressional or presidential approval, and that's scary there, and it's not right?
Well, I don't think so, because, you know, I also had a friend with the DOD, and he told me, you know, that a lot of the things the DOD, the CIA does that don't even supposed to be done in our own country gets done, and it's that is not right, but I guess we have no control over it anymore. I don't think we have any control about anything to do with the government anymore.
Oh, yeah, really. Especially, I think, like, maybe the wealthy elites who want to control the government, they were the ones who set up the CIA to use it in a way that they can do what they want without democratic processes of congressional or presidential approval. So, yeah, it's like a rogue, it's like out of control rogue elephant. Is that the expression?
Or something. I do know that there's been a lot of world governments overthrown, and the CIA was involved in it. What gives us a right to go to some country, if it's South America or Africa or wherever, Middle East, and try to overthrow a government? That would be like somebody coming in here and trying to overthrow our government. What gives our government that right to do it, or a group of individuals run parts of our government to do that?
Yes, really. And I think Kennedy was really against that. I think he was trying to stop that. And I think that's one of the reasons he got killed, because he really was disenchanted with the way the CIA operated in the way that you're talking about, you know?
Well, I know he was really upset when we were going to help invade Cuba at one point. And we basically allowed a whole bunch of people to go over to Cuba, get ready to fight, thinking they were going to have, you know, support of our government, the CIA, you know, promised, oh, yeah, we'll back you up. And they get over there, and guess what? We just turned our backs on them and let them get slaughtered.
Kennedy did. He didn't support the Bay of Pigs, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And that's, because I think that's one of the reasons he got killed, because, you know, he saw it as, I think what you're saying, that we don't have a right to interfere with other countries. So, as opposed to a guy like George Bush, who was the head of the CIA, and he was always doing stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you know, with Kennedy, too, at that point, too, the CIA that's when they kind of turned their backs on Kennedy, because they're the ones that came up with this idea and instigated it all. And then, you know, well, our president wouldn't back it up. But when you talk about Bush, then I start thinking about oil. And then I don't get good thoughts about, you know, the Middle East at all.
Oh, what do you mean now? It's like, Bush was an oil man, right?
Oh, the whole family, big time oil, yes.
I don't know if he had something to do with the Kennedy assassination. Did you ever see that there's a picture of a guy who looks just like Bush in front of the Texas School Book Depository right after the assassination? Did you ever see that?